Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Nehru, and you are tuned in to The Encourager. This is a continued series on the deconstruction of the church. As I've mentioned, this is the second of many videos or posts, but I mentioned in the first video that the purpose of this is to expose the evil, karmic, manipulating, deceitful, lying, cheating, stealing individuals, and they're really working for the enemy. So they're really working for the devil. So these overly charismatic individuals who claim to be spiritual leaders, whether no matter their title, pastor, teacher, apostle, evangelist, it doesn't matter what their title is. Reverend, which again I'll probably say every video I will probably mention that Reverend is not a spiritual title like apostle or prophet. It is not in that category. That is a man-made title. Okay, so be wary or of anyone who, or leery, I should say, of anyone who calls themselves a reverend, because that is honestly, that is, I believe, something that is a mark of the beast, and I don't want to get into that because that's not what the purpose of the video is today. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing good today. And just a little bit again about me. I will share this every video because obviously there are those who do not or have not watched previous videos. So as I mentioned, my name is Nehru. That is Indian, and that means water, okay, or canal. I was born on the 333rd day of the year, and I am the eldest of 17. My father, the one I called father here on earth, was a polygamist for 30 plus years, and he was a reverend and pastored many churches, or supposedly held those positions in various churches, both in Illinois and Florida. So, and other places, including Michigan, which is where he's currently serving a 44 to 66 year sentence for, amongst many crimes, including fraud, stealing credit cards, checks, all sorts of things. And some of these crimes he had women that he was involved with do. But he's serving that 44, 66 year sentence for the majority because of his sexual exploits. And he got a 15-year-old pregnant some 13, 14 years ago. And so that's why he's serving the majority of the time he's serving today. And there were several counts against him as far as the sexual molesting goes. Okay, I wanted to say molestation and molesting at the same time. I'm not sure why, but anyway, yeah. So that's why I'm the eldest of 17. I am a healer. I am an empath and an ascended master today. I was not born that way. I had to go through that process, through the dark night of the soul, and get away from religion, which has awakened me to what I share now. Okay? So, again, thank you so much for listening. So, today we are going to cover someone that is very, very well known worldwide, probably today. They have passed, but they have for decades promoted themselves as this reverend. They are considered the king of gospel. It is well known as far as their homosexual exploits, and I don't have anything against homosexuals because we all have choices, right? We all live the way that we believe is best for us, right? I have made choices prior to awakening I have made choices that were not in my best interest because I felt it was, or because it was for a selfish reason. I definitely did not get a minor pregnant, fraud the government or some other company out of money. Like none of those things. The majority of the things that I did were regarding sacrificing my own dreams and my own hopes in order to please others. Right. And it's okay to give someone the shirt off your back, but you need to make sure that you are not going to die from hypothermia when you do that. Okay, so there's wisdom in those things, and who we choose to give to and how often. Okay, so use wisdom in those things. So yes, so this individual is considered the king of gospel today. His homosexual exploits are fairly well known. There's been many charges against him. I'll mention one in particular, or lawsuits against him, and just a lot of just low vibration, dark happenings and events in his life, and yet men continue to award him and people continue to support him. And this is where the blind leading the blind, and both end up, right? In the lowest of low places, in the ditch, right? So the individual that I'm speaking of was born on December 5th, 1931 in Chicago. My father was also born in Chicago on the South Side, and so was this individual. He passed on February 9th of 1991 in Culver City, California, and he was laid to rest at Inglewood Cemetery there, I believe, in California. As I mentioned, he's considered the king of gospel. The gospel sound and the gospel, the popularity of gospel music today, he is considered to be the father of that sound, right? And so he is, or was, inducted into the Gospel Hall of Fame in 1984. He is a Grammy nominee, also a multi-winner as far as the Grammy Awards are concerned. He supposedly had an adopted child. That is what I could find. That's not been confirmed. I did not find anything that let me know that was confirmed. What I understand was this individual that he had living with him, it was a male, and because that's all he messed with. So this individual, whose first name is Andre, he took into his house, and Andre claims today that he was adopted, but some other individuals who were involved with this in this man's life, they say that there's no documentation for that, but he just simply took the young man in because perhaps he was on the street. Okay, so one of the standout or glaring situations in this individual's life is there's a gentleman by the name of Christopher Harris, and this individual, this king of gospel, he, because of his exploits, so he had males. I can't say all, but certainly the vast majority, I would say 90+% of the individuals in his choirs, right, that sang on his albums are male. And the reason is because he was sexually assaulting them, and because he only really wanted males, because that's where his interest was. So this individual Christopher Harris suffered approximately 5 years of sexual abuse from this gentleman, okay, and ended up contracting HIV. Now we're talking about in the late 80s, early 90s, when HIV was really still this monster that was just kind of ravaging America. And so so through 5 years of abuse, that this individual, right, ended up contracting this often fatal disease or infection. And so I am talking about Reverend James Cleveland. Those of you who are familiar with him at all probably already knew who I was speaking of, if you're familiar with gospel music at all. And so Reverend James Cleveland, again, he's considered the king of gospel. He's a Gospel Hall of Famer. He was inducted into the Gospel Hall of Fame in 1984. He's also the very first gospel singer to have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Give me just one moment. All right. And so he's considered to be the driving force behind the creation, like I said, of the modern gospel sound by incorporating some sounds that were not previously associated with gospel music, so soul and pop and jazz genres and things like that he incorporated, or jazz sounds he incorporated into his music. Throughout his career, he's appeared on hundreds of recordings and, again, earned Grammys, and he's actually earned 4, which is exceptional. I mean, just to be nominated for one really is outstanding. But as I mentioned, his induction in 1984 into the Gospel Hall of Fame and his Walk of Fame star, Hollywood Walk of Fame star. He's regarded as one of the greatest gospel singers, certainly of our time, probably ever. And so the purpose of these things, the purpose of this information is to not sway you one way or the other, because again, that's what the enemy does. The enemy comes to influence you. That's why the sound of the Spirit, that's why divine Holy Spirit, his voice is soft and subtle, right? Because the enemy's loud and obnoxious and flamboyant and, right, the exact opposite of what divine is. And so I want to continue to make us aware of these individuals, no matter they do not just carry they're not just in the religious religious sect. They are all over. They are financiers. They are Wall Street gurus. They are of all types. They are politicians. They are of all types. Okay, and so the purpose is to expose these individuals, and not so much them, but the spirit of who they are, because redemption's possible for everyone, and everyone can ascend, everyone can be enlightened, everyone can be awakened, but we have to recognize the moments and take advantage when those moments appear. Because so for me, my awakening came through or after a karmic relationship where I was dealing with a third party situation, and that individual framed themselves, I will say, to be the perfect match. So I am a kidney transplant recipient. They have had a kidney transplant removed. I'm a Sagittarius. They are a Scorpio. Our birthdays are 16 days apart. That's an 8 and an 8. They, for many years, long before we ever met each other, were doing taxes. I am a tax accountant, and I have been an accountant for 13 years. And I can go on and on and on and on about the yin and yang there, right? But what ultimately it comes down to is the individual's heart and their intentions. That's really what it comes down to, because no one is, and their actions, no one's acting outside of what they want in the moment. And that might be a strange statement to hear, but no one's acting outside. So everybody is after the same thing, the highest, truest, most purest form of themselves. In some cases, when there's low vibration, they can get so low to where they murder their family, where they lie, cheat, and steal. They unalive their children, unalive their parents, unalive their siblings. They do those things because in the moment they believe, because of again, the low vibration and unawareness of themselves, they believe that that is what is best for them in the moment. However, none of those things are true. I can tell you, the Father will never have you, even when he told Abraham to take his son and to sacrifice him, right? Excuse me. He provided a way out. He provided a ram that got caught, right, in bushes nearby, right, and that became the sacrifice. So the Father telling you to take out your siblings, parents, co-workers, none of that, and it's rampant today in schools, employment offices, right? All these mass shootings and things. Obviously, that's not divine's doing. Okay, he allows man to make choice because man has a free will. So again, my purpose is to make us aware, to hopefully help us stay in high vibration with our heart chakra open, our third eye chakra open, our throat chakra, our crown chakra, and the others. I mentioned those because those are really the ones to see into and to speak into truth. The other chakras are just as important, but those chakras tend to deal with other things. So, for instance, your solar plexus chakra deals with your confidence and your belief in yourself, right? Your power, right? Sacral chakra deals with reproduction, creativity, right? And things along those lines. And the root chakras for grounding. So anyway, Reverend James Cleveland is again another one of those individuals who have come along. And by the way, Christopher Harris, who was infected with the HIV virus from James Cleveland, that case, he sued. There was a lawsuit for $9 million that ended up being settled out of court for some undisclosed amount. So that's safe to say that there was probably enough proof there that, and I don't know when the case was settled, it might have been after his passing. So that might have been a case where if it was to go to court, James would have had to take maybe an Alford plea or something, because perhaps there was enough evidence there, and that's why they settled it out of court. So anyway, again, open those chakras, keep those chakras open, do your sage cleansing, your chakra cleansing and clearing, and your blockage removals, and do those things. Go out into nature, whatever it is that you feel drawn to. There's a number of different ways to cleanse your energy. So anyway, any questions, as always, feel free to reach out to me. Again, the purpose of these messages are not to embarrass anyone, because the majority of this information, certainly for those who are no longer with us, the majority of the information in some way or another is available online. So, and obviously I won't be talking about just those who have passed. The first individual that I spoke on was Zachary Timms, who pastored a church in Apopka, and who was, throughout his 15-year marriage, unfaithful to his wife with a stripper. And again, we all have choices, right, as far as our lifestyle and what we choose to do with it. But he was also, more significantly, I believe, because it affects your cognitive abilities, is he was also on heroin and cocaine, and he was ministering and as they say, testifying, talking about how he was delivered from those things, but he ended up dying of a heroin cocaine overdose while on a visit to New York City to minister. Okay, he was found in a hotel there. So if you haven't listened to that post, please feel free to do so. Again, my name's Nehru. Thank you so much for listening, and check back in with you soon.